Alrighty, so time for chapter 3 of my reading from Brandon Sanderson's Steelheart. This one goes from 33 to 37. I would only read about 5 pages anyway, but that's how long this chapter goes for. One of the beauties of Brandon Sanderson's books sometimes. Alright, let's get into it. Handguns have one distinct advantage over rifles. They're fast. I didn't even try to beat him to the draw. I ducked to the side, running as fast as I could toward an alleyway. In the near distance, somebody screamed. Fortuity, I thought. Did he see me run? But I'm not standing in the light. And he wasn't watching. This is something else. The trout must have curveball opened fire on me. The thing about handguns is they're blasted difficult to aim. Even trained, practiced professionals miss more often than they hit. And if you level the gun out in front of you sideways, like you think you're in some stupid action movie, you'll hit even less often. That was exactly what Curveball did. Flashes from the front of his gun lighting the darkness. A bullet hit the ground near me, spraying sparks as it ricocheted off the steel pavement. I skidded into an alleyway and pressed myself back against the wall, out of Curveball's direct line of sight. Bullets continued to spray against the wall. I didn't dare look out, but I could hear Curveball cursing and yelling. I was too panicked to count shots. A magazine like his couldn't hold more than a dozen or so bullets. Oh, right, I thought. His epic pal. The man could keep blasting away and never run out of bullets. Eventually, he'd round the corner and get a direct shot. Only one thing to do. I took a deep breath, letting my rifle slide off my shoulder and catch it with my hand. I dropped to one knee in the mouth of the alleyway, putting myself at risk, and raised the rifle. The burning cigarette gave me a sight on Curveball's face. A bullet hit the wall above me. I prepared to squeeze the trigger. Stop it, you slunts, a voice called, interrupting Curveball. A figure moved between us in the dim light just as I fired. The shot missed. That was Fortuity. I lowered my gun as another shot rang out from high above. The sniper. A bullet struck the ground nearby, almost hitting Fortuity. But he jerked sideways at the right moment. His danger sense. Fortuity ran awkwardly, and as he got closer to a lantern, I saw why. He was handcuffed. Still, he was escaping. Whatever the Reckoner's plan was, it looked like it had fallen apart. Curveball and I glanced at each other. Then he took off following Fortuity, firing a few stray shots in my direction. Having infinite bullets didn't make him any better a shot, however, and they all went wild. I climbed to my feet and looked the other direction, toward where the woman had been. Was she alright? There was a loud crack sounding in the air, and Curveball screamed, dropping to the ground. I smiled, right until a second shot fired, and a spray of sparks exploded from the wall beside me. I cursed, ducking back into my alleyway. A second later, the woman in the red sleek dress spun into the alleyway, holding a tiny Derringer pistol and pointing it directly at my face. People firing handguns missed, on average, from over 10 paces, but I wasn't sure of the statistics when a pistol was 15 inches from your face. Probably not so good for the target. Wait, I said, holding up my hands, letting my rifle fall on its strap on my shoulder. I'm trying to help. Didn't you see Curveball firing at me? Who do you work for? The woman demanded. Haven Dark Factory, I said. I used to drive a cab, though. Splunts, she said. Gun still trained at me. She raised her hand to her head, touching one finger to her ear. I could see an earring in there that was probably tethered to her mobile. Megan here. Tia, blow it. An explosion sounded nearby, and I jumped. What was that? The Reeve Playhouse. You blew up the Reeve? I said. I thought the Reckoners didn't hurt innocents. That froze her. Gun still pointed at me. How do you know who we are? You're hunting epics. Who else would be? But she cut off, cursing softly, raising her finger again. No time. Abraham, where is the mark? I couldn't hear the reply, but it obviously satisfied her. A few more explosions sounded in the distance. She eyed me, but my hands were still raised, and she must have seen Curveball firing at me. She apparently decided I wasn't a threat. She lowered her gun and hurriedly reached down, breaking the stiletto heels of her shoes. She then grabbed the side of her dress and ripped it off. I gaped. I normally consider myself somewhat level-headed, but it's not every day you find yourself in a darkened alleyway with a gorgeous woman who rips off most of her clothing. Underneath, she wore a low-cut tank top and a pair of spandex biker shorts. I was pleased to note that the gun holster was indeed strapped to her right thigh. Her mobile was hooked down to the outside of the sheath. She tossed the dress aside. It had been designed to come off easily. Her arms were lean and firm, and the wide-eyed naivete she had shown earlier was completely gone, replaced with a hard edge and a determined expression. I took a step, and in a heartbeat, her pistol was trained on my forehead again. I froze. "Out of the alleyway," she said, gesturing. I nervously did as asked, walking back onto the street. "On your knees, hands on head. I don't really— Down!" I got down on my knees, feeling stupid, raising my hands to my head. "Hard man," she said, finger to her ear. "If Knees here so much as sneezes, put a slug through his neck." "But—" I began. She took off down the street at a run, moving much more quickly now that she removed the heels of the dress. That left me alone. I felt like an idiot, kneeling there, hairs on my neck prickling as I thought of the sniper who had his weapon trained on me. How many agents did the Reckoners have? I couldn't imagine them trying this without at least 24. Another explosion shook the ground. Why the blast? That alert enforcement, Steelheart soldiers. Lackeys and thugs were bad enough. Enforcement wielded advanced guns and the occasional armor unit. 12-foot-tall robotic suits of power armor. The next explosion was closer, just down the block. Something must have gone wrong in their original plan, otherwise Futurity wouldn't have gotten away from the woman in red. Megan? Was that what she said her name was? This was one of their contingency plans. But what were they trying to do? A figure burst out of an alleyway nearby, almost making me jump. I held still, cursing that sniper. But I did turn my head slightly to look. The figure wore red and still had handcuffs on. Futurity. The explosions, I realized. They were to scare him back this way. He crossed the street and turned to run in my direction. Megan, if that really was her name, burst from the same road he'd appeared out of. She turned this way, trying to chase him down, but behind her, in the distance, another group of figures rushed out from a different street. They were 4 of Spritz's thugs, in suits and carrying submachine guns. They pointed at Megan. I watched from the other side of the street as Megan and Futurity passed me. The thugs were approaching from my right, and Megan and Futurity were running to my left, all of us in the same darkened street. Come on, I thought, at the sniper above. She doesn't see them. They'll gun her down. Take them out. Nothing. The thugs leveled their guns. I felt sweat trickle down the back of my neck. Then, teeth clenched, I rolled to the side, whipping my rifle up and drawing a bead on one of them. I took a deep breath, concentrated, and squeezed the trigger, fully expecting to be shot in the head from above. And on that cliffhanger, I'll leave it.